The biggest financial mistake you will ever make was being born after 1980. Homes are unaffordable, you will need a loan to go to college, jobs are scarce, and financial meltdowns are common. If you are a young person, you have to ask yourself, is it too late for me to ever get ahead financially?
Millennials might be the unluckiest generation when it comes to economic growth.
Millennials are having a really difficult time affording down payments for homes. That's everybody, and that is according to a new study.
Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Paul Allen, Steve Balmer, Eric Schmid, and Vinod Khosla all have some things in common. These men are all tech billionaires who were born in 1955. According to the author and journalist Malcolm Gladwell, this is no coincidence. Gladwell argues that Bill Gates wouldn't have founded Microsoft if he wasn't born at just the right time. 1955 was the right time to be born if you wanted to be a tech billionaire because you would have been the right age in 1975 to capitalize on the personal computer revolution right as it was beginning. If you were born after 1980, you were the right age to start paying 5 figures for college tuition, 6 figures for a basic home, and entering the job market after the dot-com bust, the global financial crisis, or the COVID-19 pandemic. Gladwell's original inspiration for his book Outliers were New York corporate lawyers. We take it for granted that there's this guy in New York who's the corporate lawyer, right? I was just curious, why is it all the same guy? Referring to the fact that a surprising number of the most powerful and successful corporate lawyers in New York City have almost the exact same biography. Gladwell noticed that people ascribe Bill Gates' success to being really smart or really ambitious. He noted that he knew a lot of people who are really smart and really ambitious, but not worth $60 billion. Tech billionaires are not the only group this happens to. A common and seemingly unavoidable problem with online role-playing games is that long-term players who started the game when it first launched have had time to level up their characters, collect the best gear, and build in-game fortunes. The game developer needs new players to join the game to grow their revenue base, or at a minimum, replace players that get bored with the game and cancel their subscriptions. New players will be competing with existing players who have more actual experience behind the keyboard and have higher level characters in the game that new players just can't compete with. Nobody wants to spend their free time getting pwned on an old video game, so developers must choose one of two options. Option 1, reduce the gap between new players and old players and risk making their most loyal customers angry. Or Option 2, let the level gap grow so new players can't compete and let the game slowly die as it loses players. Back in the real world, we are being faced with exactly the same challenges, and there are 4 big reasons why young people may never get ahead financially. The first reason is job opportunities. Working a job is how most people build wealth. Even people who go on to be successful business owners normally get their start in a professional career where they can build up skills, gain connections, and earn enough money to go out on their own. The average age of retirement has been slowly increasing in America for a long time now, and that isn't just affecting people at the end of their careers, it's also affecting young people. If people have to work longer before retiring, then there is less room at the top of the corporate ladder for young people to move up into. Despite this, millennials make more money than any other generation did at their age, and they are less wealthy because to access most high-paying jobs, they have been forced to work in high cost of living cities. Here, they are competing with senior professionals at the penultimate years of their careers, but still aren't quite ready to retire yet. These were people who were able to buy homes in these cities before they became unaffordable. When baby boomers were around the same age as millennials are today, they controlled 22% of the nation's wealth compared to just 7% controlled by millennials. It's a chicken and egg scenario. Older generations need wealth to retire, and younger generations need older generations to retire in order to build wealth. Nobody wins, but young people lose. So it's time to learn how money works to find out if you're a young person, if it's too late for you to ever get ahead financially, or if you were born before 1980 to find out how long your children will be living at home. This week's lesson was sponsored by Course Careers. If you want to get ahead financially, you are going to need to have an established career, and there's no better way to start that than with Course Careers. If you want to start a career in the technology industry but don't have previous experience or a degree, then Course Careers is here to help. They're replacing college as the modern way people are starting careers, and it's so simple. All you do is go through an affordable online course where you learn everything required to actually do the job, then they help you land a position by partnering with companies who drop their degree and experience requirements to hire course career graduates into entry-level positions and internships. Check out some of their stories of people like Wayne, who went from working as a retail sales manager to a full-time job in tech sales, to Josh, who dropped out of college and is now making $70K a year in healthcare tech sales. Go to coursecareers.com, link in bio, to sign up for their free introduction course where you'll learn exactly how you can start a career in technology without a degree or previous experience. Remember to use the code WORKS50 for $50 off their full course. A high income is not the only component to building wealth. Making more money makes it a lot easier, but if you invest diligently for the long term and generate good returns, you can end up much further ahead financially than someone that earns more than you but saves less. Here, younger generations lose out again. Gladwell's 1955 tech bro theory has some problems. There are lots of billionaires in the tech space that were born long after the 1960s. Mark Zuckerberg, the apparently human overlord of Meta, is worth $97 billion and he was born in 1984. Outliers always exist, but Zuck is the exception that proves the rule. Gates and Zuckerberg are the financial pinnacle of their generations, but Gates is still wealthier than Zuck after giving away $80 billion more to charities through his foundation. If Gates had held on to his shares in Microsoft in the same fashion that Zuck has held on to his shares in Meta, then Gates would have a net worth of almost $700 billion, which would make him almost twice as wealthy as Musk. I am not asking you to feel sorry for Zuck, but the investment opportunity difference exists for normal people from these two generations as well. Any investment made into the market from someone who started their career in 1970 would have quickly compounded as long as they didn't sell during big downturns. The market averaged 11% returns over that time, but most analysts agree that the last century was exceptional for the market and future returns are likely to be lower. Vanguard's projected returns for equities over the next decade are 4.1 to 6.1% annually, with median volatility of 17%. Vanguard is an investment manager with a financial interest in getting people into the market, so their bearish outlook would not have been made without rigorous analysis. The reasons cited for the projected sluggish returns were the cost of complying with new data security and environmental regulations, greater barriers to cross-border revenue, and the lower spending power of young consumers. That's right, it's your own fault for not spending enough. If getting ahead financially means saving $500,000 over your 40-year career to fund a nice retirement, it will be much harder if the analysts are right. Someone investing just $60 a month with 11% returns would have made $500,000 over 40 years. If you want to achieve the same amount with even the most optimistic outlook on Vanguard's projections of 6.1%, you would need to invest $250 a month for the same time. For a lot of you, it may be easy to find $250 a month in your budget, but if that's the case, you probably wouldn't be satisfied with just $500,000 in retirement. Financial planners tell people to budget 70% of their income to use in retirement. So if you're someone who's earning $100,000 a year at the end of your career, budget to spend $70,000 a year in retirement. Lower returns means you will need more invested to generate that income while simultaneously making it harder to accumulate. With 11% returns, someone would need $650,000 to make $70,000 a year. Making that over a 40-year career would require a monthly investment of just $75 a month. With 6.1% returns, you would need to invest $1,150,000. To save that with those numbers, you would require a monthly investment of $570. If you are making $100,000 a year, that's a big share of your budget, and it assumes that you will earn six figures for your entire career and never miss a contribution even once. That sobering realization is why more young people are flocking to alternative investments with the promise of higher returns like cryptocurrencies, NFTs, day trading, and meme stocks. Financial fraud is at an all-time high, and younger investors are the ones being most affected even though they are investing less. To a lot of people, it's worth the gamble when the alternative is a lifetime of sacrifice just to afford a modest retirement. This is not to talk anybody out of investing. It's one of the best tools you have to build wealth. But it's irresponsible to suggest that cutting out a daily coffee is going to make you rich. Without a high income, investing is not going to make you rich by itself. If you have an average income today, you are going to live a less comfortable life than someone with an average income 40 years ago. You will not be able to accidentally build wealth by cutting out minor luxuries. You are going to need a dedicated and fairly aggressive savings plan, which is the third reason why it might be too late for you to get ahead financially. I can't put it off any longer. I need to talk about real estate prices. 40% of homes in America are owned free and clear with no mortgage. At the same time, more Americans than ever don't think they will ever be able to afford a home. Rental prices are up all over the country and across the world. Existing homeowners are allowed to write off the interest on their home loan against their income, but renters are not allowed to do the same with their rent payments. Renters can also be kicked out of their homes, and they need to absorb the cost of moving, cleaning, and paying rent on two properties for the overlap period lest they be homeless while waiting to move into a new place. If you are a renter, this is all reducing your ability to save money that you need to buy your own place or do anything else to get ahead financially. Getting a down payment together can now take more than a decade of dedicated savings in high cost of living cities. And for young people that are able to overcome this hurdle, the problems only just start there. Most people cannot purchase a home in cash. They need to get a home loan, which means a place to live becomes a monthly expense. People buying housing now are going to be hit with high prices and high interest rates. Locking in a high interest rate for 30 years is going to hurt people buying their first home, because it can be expensive to refinance if it comes back down. The combination of high rates and high real estate prices makes the monthly payment on the average 2-bedroom apartment 20 times higher than it was 40 years ago compared to the average salary at the time. Higher property prices also attract higher property taxes. There is not a single county in the country where someone making minimum wage can afford to rent a 2-bedroom apartment without experiencing financial difficulty. Purchasing the average home and making payments will take more than 40% of the average salary, which leaves little money left over to save for anything else. Young generations also have more opportunities to spend during their earliest years, where savings have the most time to compound over a lifetime. Online shopping, streaming services, overpriced food delivery apps, fast fashion, and the subscriptionification of everything wasn't a drain on the wallets of older Americans when they were starting out. There is good news, which, despite the temptations, millennials are saving earlier than their parents, and their savings are higher portions of their income. According to a study by Magnify Money, the average millennial had their net worth doubled during the pandemic, but they were still behind older generations at the same age. They are also behind hitting financial milestones like buying a house, paying off student loans, and saving for retirement. Younger generations are struggling to earn as much, and their investments probably won't perform as well over the long term, and that's just for people starting out. If you want to know about the challenges that are going to face you at the end of your career, go and watch my video on why most people alive today will work until they die. If you want to get these videos a day early and get feel-good reports like this delivered to your inbox every day, subscribe to Compounded Daily to keep on learning how money works.